Harry wouldn't let me have lunch because he said I'll get lethargic.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
And he's like, you can't afford to go down any further. We need more energy, not less.
So he's now just got you on a zero food diet.
Yeah, I'm
water,
fasting.
Loads of coffee.
I'm basically doing the 5-2, but in here. I'm really happy you're here.
Why is that?
Because I haven't spoken for the last 2 episodes.
Oh, you must have had Patrick on before.
Yeah, it was good though.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff.
Yeah, but...
He can chat.
Yeah.
Should we get into it?
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you all so much for watching. I've got Alex with me here this week, so we're going to talk all things salaries and pay rises. So Al, pay rises, big topic.
Yeah.
I think the big thing we were talking about before this started was, why do people suddenly want a pay rise?
Yeah.
So you're in work, it's a Monday, everything's going really well. I'll see you later, have a good day. You come in Tuesday morning, hey, I want more money. Where does that come from?
And I think, like everybody, let's start with this. Everybody wants a pay rise, right? So if someone goes, oh, we're going to give you a pay rise, you're like, oh, really? And if you haven't had one for a while, you want one. If you're getting one, you want more. Like, it's one of those things that it does. We love everyone, well, a lot of people love their jobs, but the reality is we do it for the money because we've got bills and a life and a family to pay for. I think with pay rises, there's so many different things that come into it. And I think this is what we're going to talk through right on this episode. Is that one of the biggest ones I notice is people that aren't really in the market, but they dip their toe into the market, they start passively looking, and the reality hits that I haven't had a pay rise or a proper pay rise for the last 3 or 4 years. My job is paying X, but all the jobs in the external market are paying Y. And there seems to be a huge gap between someone who's been loyal in a business, seen a small increment every year, but the reality is they have a look elsewhere and go, hang on a second, I'm massively underpaid. And I think that's what it causes waves, doesn't it?
Pesky recruiters.
Yeah.
One recruiter sends you a job paying 10% more than you're on. You go, oh, put it to one side.
Yeah.
2 recruiters do it, I'll put it to one side. 6 recruiters do it, and you go, hang on, there's a theme here. Am I worth a little bit more money? And I think sometimes it can be as simple as that. So this happens. Someone's got it in their head they're worth more money than they're on.
Yep.
How do they approach it?
I think a lot of people will... what I see is a lot of people automatically just go, I'm going to look elsewhere. Like, how many people do we get out the blue? You advertise a job or you put something up on LinkedIn, you automatically get the people that are looking for jobs apply and they reach out to you, but you get people you've never really spoken to before, but you're connected with, and go, hey, like, we've been connected, but I'm interested in this job. And you go, wow, they look brilliant. You have a call with them, you meet them, and they're like 20, 30% under the salary banding for the job you're working. And I think that is, a lot of candidates will just go, I can see something bigger out there, so let's go and approach that. The difficulty with that is the dreaded counter offer. So then when they go through the process, they get a new job, they get the offer, they go back to the company they're in, and then they go, this is what I've been offered elsewhere, and they get promised something.
This is one of my bugbears, not in recruitment, I think, but in life.
Yeah.
And it's people not valuing the people in their team.
Yeah.
And more than that, because everybody knows, hand on heart, if they're underpaying somebody in their team. Mm-hmm. Where possible, and it's not always possible, right? Be a nice person and pay people what they're worth.
Yeah.
If you're really nice, try and pay them a bit more, which is commercially the most stupid thing you can do. But it pays off in the long run because people feel invested in the team.
Yeah.
The thing that winds me up is you've got person X, Sarah, she's in her job, she loves her job, she loves the company, but she's paid 20% under market value. Yeah. So Sarah spends 6 months looking for a new job and secures her dream role. Lo and behold, her company come back and counter offer more than she's paid in that offer. So the whole thing was for nothing and she stays in her company in the first place.
Yeah.
Why can't people just pay people what they're worth?
And do you know what? I wish they could. I think there's the harsh reality that a lot of big companies, it's like international benchmarking. Like, how many big companies, I'm thinking of one at the moment, I don't think you'll think of the same one, but Ollie's just started working with them, and their salaries are dictated by the US. The US reality is they have no idea what a commercial finance analyst should be paid in the Surrey market as of today, right? So they give their benchmarking, go, this is what we think it should pay. This is what the team is on at the moment. Mind you, half the team is probably unhappy anyway because they're not paid well enough. And this is what we need to pay someone when they're recruiting. The reality is they're probably 10% under what the market is offering.
So I'm a business and I'm going, fine, I hear you, Alex. I know that I need to probably review my salaries. How do I now effectively go through a benchmarking exercise?
I would always say you need to speak to a recruiter, I think, because we are in the detail of what people are looking for. And I think rule of thumb, companies will hire the same type of roles, like generic roles, but it's slightly different. So we know what a newly qualified candidate is demanding in the market. And reality is most companies pay that or pay close to it, depending on benefits and what else they can offer them, like career-wise, extra benefits, flexibility. But I think with the benchmarking piece is you've got to understand what is your team on, what's inflation each year on year, how much has it gone up? Like you need to look big picture.
Yeah, I have a view on this that you're never, unless you really trust somebody or a source of information, you're always going to go to multiple ways to get it.
Yeah.
So people go, great, I'll talk to a recruiter, but I'll actually talk to 5 and see if everything marries up. Let's read some salary guides. And then let's go on Glassdoor. Let's go on all these external websites. I think the issue that we're having in our sector at the moment in finance is that actually there's been such a massive shift in salaries over the past 3 years, should we say, give or take, that actually I think a lot of that data is still really, really antiquated. And where the data's tried to catch up, you've now got these massive salary ranges. So you type in management accountant London and it will go, it pays from 40k to 80k.
Yeah.
And nobody can make head or tail of it.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think you need to be able to have a really open, subjective conversation with somebody that you trust. You can go, look, in your market, you could pay somebody, let's take that example, newly qualified management accountant. The number now is 65k, right? That's what everyone's accepting. You could pay somebody 60k because there are people out there who are on 50k now who will accept a 10k uplift because they buy into your banding.
Yeah.
Should you do that? And
it's the answer, I think it depends on the business and what's going on, because like there's a lot of companies that just can't. And they're like, this is the highest member of the team who's qualified is paid 58. We physically can't offer someone new into the business at 60. But then it's going, well, you should look at your internal structure. But the reality is I've got a team of 6. Everyone's underpaid by 10%. They can't give everyone the pay rise that they deserve and then hire the role. They just don't have the budget for it. So it's going, how do we get the best out of this situation?
Yeah, these things are always going to be subjective. My view on it is you should never, ever do it.
Yeah.
And the reason you should never do it is because that person is worth 65k.
Yeah.
By the time they've realised they're worth 65k, they're worth 68k. So they're now 8 grand over. They're worth 8 grand more than what you're currently paying them. And in 6 months' time, when a recruiter taps them on the shoulder for the job paying 8 grand more, they're going to leave.
Yeah.
So all that time you've invested, all that money, all whatever, is all out the window anyway. If you physically can't pay above 58k, then you need to hire the talent into your team that is worth 58k and develop them into that role.
Yeah.
Would be my advice.
And you know what? I've given that a lot. And I think sometimes it's going, hire someone who's actively studying, someone that you can mould, grow, develop, watch them over the next year to 2 years, but you'll be getting them at 50, 55k, heavily invested, like financially they're committed, and you can move them up through the ranks. And I guess that comes back down to career mapping out the team. What do you want to get out of them? Investing in people. Like, I guess that's a podcast for another day, right? But
yeah, for sure. Who do you think asks for a pay rise most frequently in finance?
I would probably say like newly qual accountants. They're the ones that are always going, I've just qualified, I'm now on 46, should I be asking for 50? And it's when you go, well, this is what the market's paying, like we've just discussed, they fall off their chair. I think people that haven't really gone into the market for a while, and I think you do get a lot of candidates that finish uni, stay with one company for 3 to 4 years, get qualified, and they go, well, I've got a pay rise every year, I'm now on like 48, newly qual, and it's going, we've got 5 jobs here for you that are paying 60, 65, and they're like, wow, okay. And like, how can you, especially when you're at that age or that stage in your career, that's a big increase. That's a big motivator to move, right?
I think it can be really hard for the receiving business as well.
Yeah.
So you've got a candidate who's on 45 and they're paying 65. They go, hang on, I'm giving them basically a 50% increase in their salary. So how do you justify that to the business they're going into?
It comes down to the market, right? And what the market is. You can try to offer that, but we're quite honest and quite firm with companies and go, if you want to pay 50, 55k, you won't get the caliber or you won't get this particular candidate that you're looking for. But we can focus on that. Like we were saying a minute ago, why don't we look for someone who maybe isn't qualified yet? Or if we do this search, we'll look at it for X amount of time, but reality is now you're not going to get that. So it's, I guess, setting expectations with the business of you need to pay this because this is what the market is paying. This is what candidates are expecting.
Yeah, for sure. I think it can just sometimes be hard, can't it?
It can, and also no one wants to overspend. Like everyone's, especially at this day and age, we've got a budget to stick to. We can't pay 65, or we've got people in the team. Like I was saying, like that is the biggest sticking point. What we've got in the team, no one's got that money at the moment.
So we've talked obviously salaries as in cold hard cash.
Yeah.
What else do people want that they go, I'm getting frustrated in my business because I'm not getting this at the moment?
I would say career development. I guess there's a lot of people that everyone's busy in their job, right? And I think people that are genuinely keen on like building a career, getting promotions, obviously getting pay rises, they like to feel invested by the business or by the hiring manager. What we find is you get people that have been in a role for probably the last 3 to 5 years that are quite happy, they're quite comfortable, but they don't know where they're going, what's next. And that's when they come to us and go, oh, shit, am I in the right role? Am I in the right company? This is what I'm being paid. What would I have to do to get to the next level? And that's where we come in and go, okay, let's map it out. Let's see what you've done, what you're doing. What do you enjoy? What are you good at? What do you want to be doing? What are your timeframes? And a lot of the time they go, well, I'm never going to get that where I am. And that's kind of where we come in to go, well, let's help you understand where you could go and what you could be doing.
Yeah, I think the motivators are always really important for somebody.
Yeah.
So I say this to pretty much everyone I talk to, and I think I've said it on the podcast, so feel free to skip the next 60 seconds. But there are 6 things that I think are really important when a candidate looks for a new job.
Yeah.
So it's the role itself, so the content of what they're doing. There's the company, which can be size, sector, culture. There's location, there's money, there's future development or length of assignment, and then there's hybrid working.
Yeah.
And you weigh all of those things up and you go, at this part of my career, this part of my life, what's important to me now? And the really easy example is you take somebody in the first 3 to 5 years of their career path. As a general rule, all they want is experience, so the role itself, and they want progression. Good candidates don't care about where the job is unless they have external circumstances or how much the job is paying, because all they want to do is climb that ladder.
Yeah.
You fast forward to somebody in their probably late 20s to mid 30s, quite a lot of people have new families in that time. So they go, I want to be at home with my wife or my husband and my kids, and I want to earn more money so we can get a bigger house. So they become the driving force. And then you skip forward another 10 or 15 years, and actually people at that point go, do you know what? I want to drive my career again, or I want some kind of status or whatever it may be, or I want to really, I've earned my stripes now. I'm happy at the level I'm at. So I want to go and add value into a business. So for me, it's where can I make that better? That's the key thing.
Yeah.
And I think you have to think about people's motivators, because it's not always going to be the cash. So if as a business you're struggling to actually find the budget to sign off, where else can you help develop that individual, and think about maybe where they're at in their life.
Yeah.
Fair.
Well, I think that was perfect. Yeah.
So
good advice.
Let's talk about how to navigate a pay rise. I've come in, I've gone, do you know what? Cash is the only thing that's important to me.
Yeah.
I just want more wonga. I want to stay in this company. How do you approach it?
I think first take into account, does the company give annual pay reviews and do they give increases? If they do, I think last year, 2023, pay rises weren't that big. And I think as of this year, March, they're averaging about 6 to 9%. And funnily enough, finance professionals actually got more of an increase than the UK market as a whole. But it's really interesting to see, like, inflation, cost of living is so bad, right? So everybody is probably chasing a new job, more money, or I love my job, I want more money. So I would say a lot of companies know, they're fully aware of that. So they're having those conversations and they're getting ahead of it. So I think you even need to negotiate it in that pay review and be really honest and transparent about it. Or if you are, I've had the increase of 2% or 3%, but now I feel like I need more because I've been here. Whatever your reasonings are, I think you need to put pen to paper. And I think you need to take it really seriously. And I think you need to treat it like not a new job application, but you need to approach it with facts and figures. And I think you need to do your homework. You need to have those conversations, like you were saying, with trusted partners, trusted recruiters. Go to the table with evidence and go, this is where I am, and kind of go, this is what I think I deserve in the market. But I think there's also an emotional and cultural relevance to that discussion as well, of going, look what I've poured into the company, look what I've done, look what I've achieved. This is my plan over the next year to 3 to 5 years. But in order for me to do that and be happy and be engaged and committed, I feel like I need X or Y or Z.
Yeah, I think the first thing you need to decipher is whether or not you want a pay rise because you want more money.
Yeah.
Or you want a pay rise because it's deserved of where the market is.
Yeah. Or a lot of people sometimes just feel entitled to a pay rise, right? I want more money. Everything's more expensive. I'm going to go ask for more money.
Yeah, I want a pony, but like I can't just go and get a pony.
If everybody just goes, I want more money as well. Actually, yeah, come with me. I'm going to speak to my boss. Yeah, I'll join the club.
That's it. Yeah. But I think if you can go out and you can benchmark your own salary externally, so all the same ways businesses would do it yourself, go and look on the big compare websites, the Glassdoors, whatever. It might tell you something. Go and look at jobs that are being advertised. Go and speak to a recruiter. Speak to peers within the business if you feel comfortable. Find out what people are being paid. If your salary now sits in the right level of that banding, you probably can't justify a pay rise. If actually you are being underpaid, even by a small amount or a bigger amount, then you can kind of move on to phase 2.
Yeah.
Phase 2 is, why am I worth more than another person doing that job?
Yeah.
And it's, what have you done historically? So far I have reduced time here, I've brought cash into the business here, I've done all of these things which tick off against my job, and I've gone over and above. Also, as you rightly said, this is my plan moving forward. That one I always think you've got to be quite careful with, because it can feel a bit like you're strong-arming them. If you pay me more money, I'll stay and I'll do this cool stuff.
You don't pay me more to do the job that you're paying me to do already. It's kind of that, isn't it?
So it's so delicate. I think you need to kind of generally go with previous stuff, prove your own worth, and then hopefully it can be justified. Think about what the business says back to you and how they approach that. If it's in a way of carte blanche, we can't give you a pay rise, you then need to look at that motivator list I said and go, is cash the most important thing? If it is, it's probably the time to look elsewhere. If actually you can get something else out of the role, then I'd stay internal, would be my view. Yeah,
and that's it. And I think there are people out there that money is the main motivator. And we see that a lot. And that's absolutely fine, because everybody is different. They have different priorities. I think there's a lot of people that just automatically jump ship and go to a new role for more money. And we get that call. We never like having this call, do we? Someone's joined a role, been there a couple of months, and they're like, I met 2 people within 2-3 days. I took the job because it's more money, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And you feel really bad, because you go, like, what did you do? What conversation did you have internally before you even made a move? And they go, well, I didn't. I just saw this job, recruit sent it to me. I met them before I knew I had an offer. There should always be a bit of suspicion there. If you get an offer within like a few days for a job, like that's too good to be true. This probably is. Yeah,
for sure. I think do your due diligence is the
100%.
The big lesson. We got quick fire questions today.
Awesome, love it.
You fancy some?
Yeah, let's go.
Right, quick fire questions. We've got 7 questions, 2 minutes on the timer.
Yeah.
You ready?
Go.
What is the average starting salary for an entry-level accountant in the UK?
Entry-level graduate, I'd say anything from 28 to 35k, depending on where it's situated. And then, I guess, newly qualified accountant, probably 55, 65 grand now.
Nice. What does the salary of a financial analyst compare to that of an accountant with similar experience?
Oh, that's a good question. In my experience, I don't think it differs that much, unless they're on the commercial front, if there's a particular system they need to have used, because we are going very systems heavy in the analytical world. And on the accounting side, if there's technical legislations, SOX, US GAAP, it tends to pay a bit more. So I think you can go up on one side and up on the other, but I'd say fairly similar.
Cool. What factors most influence salary differences in finance roles?
The niche side of it. So I think the technicalities of doing the job day to day, month to month, that doesn't really come into it. It's going, have you implemented this system? Have you led an IPO? Have you taken a business for a sale? I think it's that above and beyond factor where someone will pay more for that experience.
Are there significant salary differences between working in a public accounting versus private?
Totally, 100%. And I think that will never change, sadly. And I think people that tend to work in public sector, whether it's education, charity, something along those lines, they do it because they enjoy that world and giving back. So I think a particular type of person works really well in those environments. But if I was to be honest, I think it should be completely the same. But unfortunately, we don't live in that world.
Side note, day rate for public sector interims are skyrocketing at the moment. How does obtaining an ACA or ACCA certification impact salary prospects?
I think we're moving away from this. I think go back 5-10 years ago, every job spec, regardless if it was commercial or technical, the wish list was ACA from Big Four. It always started with that, whereas now I think ACA, obviously ACA qualification is great, but so is the SEMA, so is ACCA. I think...
Oh, how did we get on?
They never know the answer to that question.
Never.
Sorry, guys.
I've started, so I'll finish. Mate, thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah,
It's
no,
always a
my pleasure.
It was nice it being a bit more back and forth today.
Yeah, poor Patrick. You need to kick him off.
Yeah.
Get some other people on some podcasts.
And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please continue to follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers, guys.